Hello there, I'm St-Pierre and you're listening to Go Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We have an interview this week with Markus Wüstenberg. He's a friend of the show. We will talk about LLMs. And I'm not a huge user of LLMs and whatnot with, all sorts of agentic coding and building agent into your own system at the moment. So Markus is going to talk about what's going on in that field, and I will try to have an open mind. So if you want to join, we have a Slack channel. It's called Go Podcast, in one word, in the Gophers Slack community. So if you are not there, you have some link in the gopodcast.dev website if you want to join. I'm still trying to learn how to participate in the channel and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if you have ideas for new episode or want to join as a guest or anything like that, it will be nice to see you there. I have my course that I launched 3 weeks ago, actually, Zero to Gopher. This covers the Go fundamentals and is a great way to start with Go. So if you haven't written anything yet and you are jumping into the language and you want to have some guided I would say first steps, this is something that you can check. There's always a 50% discount for listeners of the show in the show notes, and on that I leave you with the interview. Hello there. So this week I'm joined by Markus Wüstenberg. So it's already your third time in the show, Markus. Thank you so much for returning.
Thank you for having me.
So we will skip the intro, so you can listen to episode 45 and 63. So this is where Markus was a guest. So let's start by having maybe a small 30 or 60 second on component and where the project is, so we can follow that, but we will jump to our main topic after that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, so I'm building components, this HTML library where you can build HTML components in pure Go. It's pretty mature, so I don't work on it a lot, actually. I've recently done a components data star integration, so that's a sort of an HTMX JavaScript competitor. I think we talked last time about using Alpine.js and HTMX together, and
right.
Datastar kind of does both things in a very neat way. So yeah, check that out if you haven't. So I'm doing an integration with that with components. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's stable. I use it every day. So
very nice. Yeah, Datastar is crazy. I received Delaney actually a couple of.
Oh, you had?
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, it was great. I'm trying to get him back actually, because at the time when I did the interview, I was not using Datastar. Funny enough, I think he started a project a little bit similar to Component at some point.
Yeah, he did, because he actually saw components, but he wanted it to be more type safe, so he could not write invalid HTML. As far as I know, I think that was his motive. And then he created this GoStar library, which is kind of similar in how it's used, at least, but doesn't let you do weird stuff like components does. So we disagree on that. I like letting people do weird stuff with HTML, but that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. The HTML is always a good debating aspect.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be nice to receive Temple authors. I interviewed them as well. So it would be nice to do because I personally I switched to I returned back to pure HTML now. So
you did? Okay.
Oh yeah. I for so many reasons that we won't go over because it's not the topic. But yeah, it's
conversation for another day.
Yeah, totally. But Datastar is great, and I can see that using that with Component is a great fit probably, and this is something that if people did not look at any of this, I encourage you to check it out. It's different, but it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So it will be all on AI today. So I mean LLMs and things like that. We will try to I don't know, to approach this topic with some I don't know, careful thoughts and things like that. I have some strong opinions, but I was interested to interview you because I was looking at what you are, or at least I think you are doing, and it seems to be very interesting. So let's first start by maybe telling people how are you using AI and LLMs in your day-to-day, at this moment?
Actually, I'd like to start a bit earlier because I have a background in sort of doing machine learning as well.
Nice.
I did back at university, I was in a PhD program using machine learning, which was before the whole neural network craze reignited. But so classic machine learning, I call it, doing analysis of sensor data from mobile phones, stuff like that. So I've always been interested in this space, but have been, working more on software development and software infrastructure and stuff like that since. But this whole LLM craze or AI craze sort of reignited some of that because I think it's just so cool in so many ways. And I think it still feels like magic using it. So yeah.
Wait a minute. Just before you continue, so
sure.
have you just said that you completed a PhD? So all of this time I was talking with Dr. Markus Wüstenberg?
Actually, no, because I didn't complete it. For many reasons, I dropped out and went to work for Uber for doing software infrastructure instead.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
So I won't go into the details of that.
But, totally. But I agree that it was pretty different back then. So we were talking about, way more machine learning back then compared to, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago when it all started. Yeah.
Right. So really, decision trees and I don't know. Yeah. All that very classic machine learning before neural networks really came back in style.
But is it still used at some place? Is there any research still trying to advance? Because if I'm completely honest, I was personally finding that way more interesting than what we have at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't follow the space very closely. I'm mostly deep into LLMs and their usage, basically. So also, I'm not very academic in my approach. I like applied AI. Mostly.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you have seen a lot of differences. So what was your original, I don't know, reaction? How did you approach using LLMs? What was your mentality at that time?
Like everyone else, I was amazed when ChatGPT came out, I think. I had sort of followed GPT-2 and 3, seeing it on Hacker News and discussing it with some people here locally. But it had, I don't know, I thought it was curious and fun, but I couldn't see how much you could apply it to, and I don't think anyone really foresaw that, maybe a few people. The ChatGPT moment, it changed everything for a lot of people, including myself. And I thought it was so, like I said, I think it still feels like magic, basically, using that just the computer can understand what I'm saying in natural language. I think it's baffling. And it's been, 3 years or something now? And just that. If that was all we had, I think it would still feel like magic. So that's kind of what started it, and then I just kind of dove into it. Also both from the code generation side of it, which is what a lot of people are talking about and using it for, these coding agents as we call them now, but also integrating them into applications as runtime dependencies because they can be used for so many things. So building agents or using them for all kinds of things they're good for. Like you can use them for classification models, you can use them for search assistants, you can use them for so many things, and I think it's just deeply interesting.
Yeah, so that was mainly your use case. So adding functionality to existing systems that use LLM under the hood without the user really understanding or knowing that, oh, okay, they are dispatching this call to an LLMs at some point and doing X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you can build applications in so many ways, and you don't have to tag AI on top of everything and then magically get some, I don't know, investor money or something like that. I'm as sick of that as everyone else is, I think. But I really like how you can integrate it in places where it's actually useful, and we're still figuring out, all of us, what this usefulness is and how it can aid this. So I think down the line, we'll just use it as another tool in the toolbox, but a very powerful one, like we use databases or we use search clusters or whatever else.
And were you missing any library at the time? So was it in Go? Let's return to the beginning of when you started to integrate some functionalities into either system that you were building in your consultancy or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Were you like creating, I don't know, maybe Python services, because it was way more easier back then to call those LLMs in Python because the library was created? How is it today in Go? What was the kind of the history and is your work change from the beginning to what it is today?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I guess it was very browser-based, so figuring things out in the browser and then trying it out. But luckily, this it's always been a very simple API. So the one that OpenAI started, that is basically one of the standards now, the sort of the chat completion API, which is very easy to grasp. It's very easy to use, and a lot of other platforms have adopted that. So it's just, I mean, you don't need a lot of scaffolding to be able to use it. So it's basically just some HTTP calls, and Go is very, very good at that. It's basically a language built for distributed systems and networked systems. And everything to do with HTTP. So I always thought it was a really good fit. And you get some of this in Python, which is the de facto machine learning language. But I don't think Python is as good a fit for actually building applications that use LLMs, because they're also, I mean, it's just another dependency over the network in that way. So there's nothing special to it. Now, if you want to do actual machine learning, like building models and stuff like that, I would still reach for Python, I think. But building applications on top of AI and LLMs, I think Go is ideally suited for that. And we saw that for when a lot of Go SDKs are out there now that people can just use, like Anthropic has one and OpenAI has one, and Google obviously also has one for their Gemini platform. So they are sort of different in small but important ways. But there are various libraries out there that sort of smooth over some of the differences. And I've built one myself as well, because I can't not build things, apparently.
Yeah, sure. So I suppose that you are mostly expecting JSON back from those interaction with LLMs when you are adding functionalities to a system. For example, when you say, when it's not really a conversation that you are implementing, but something else, I guess that you are sending JSON and receiving JSON.
Well, yes and no, because it's just a sort of a token completion engine, right? So sometimes it can't really output JSON well, it's malformed or something like that. So now the SDKs generally have that built in, that please make your answer conform to this JSON schema. And they generally do and are very good at that and have been trained for that now. But before it was like, maybe sometimes you did get it back. Sometimes you get a text preamble saying, here's your JSON, and then you got the JSON or something like that, right? So it's definitely improved now. And you generally get JSON back if you use a large enough model. But that's how it works. But thinking of it fundamentally as you get text back and then reacting to the error cases appropriately as well is a part of that, because they are fundamentally indeterministic. So you can't really rely on what you're getting back. And I think that's some of the fun in it, actually, because it's you have to be good at building software that takes errors into account and handles them appropriately. And I think that's always been a staple in robust software development.
And what are you doing? Let's say that the response is not what you are looking for. So are you like retrying, or what are some good advice that you could give?
Yeah, so basically some of the basic things that we've always done. So set proper timeouts, make sure to retry when you're not getting back what you expected. Do retries with back off algorithms and jitter and all that stuff that we already used to in distributed systems.
But we are seeing more and more people that will dispatch some calls to some models and some calls to other models. So are you there yet? Have you tried that?
Like different models? What do you mean?
Well, maybe it's to save some cost, or maybe it's to have completely two different. So let's say I have a task X, Y, and Z, and I first send it to a GPT model, and after that, if it's not proper or something is not correct, I could use Claude, for example, and retry there.
Right. Not generally at runtime, no. That's something I want more figure out in the design phase. So having these, I don't know if you know the term evals, the evaluations.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like tests, but for LLM systems. So where you have your test cases, basically, that the things you care about involving data in your application and the kind of queries you send away to the LLMs. And then you get responses back and you grade them somehow, like score them from 0 to 1, for example. And you get an average across all your test cases or something like that. Or at least you can see the distribution. And then you look at different models from different providers, and then you see, okay, what performs the best, and then you choose that at runtime instead. So you don't...
That's interesting. Okay.
At least that's what I would do.
Yeah, okay.
But people a lot of people use it in different ways. So.
Nice. Okay, so it's a good way to compare quickly to 2 or 3 providers like that.
Yeah, and there are models among them, because there are a lot of different models, and they vary a lot in stuff like cost and latency and how good they are at stuff generally. So and generally, the more powerful, the slower, and the more costly. So it's always a sort of trade-off. So. And depends on your use case. So if you do background jobs for, I don't know, processing documents, then maybe you don't care about that.
Yeah.
But if you are integrating into a search system and you want to have sort of agentic search or something like that, then you want low latency, obviously, if it's for an end use case.
So let's continue with this idea of search. So I'm interested about, so if I'm understanding that you would send some data to the LLM for it to index, but sometimes it could be a very large amount of data, and we are so constrained with the context size at the moment. So how would you? What are you talking about when we are talking about search, for example? Because let's say I would have a lot of data to be searched on. How would I do that?
Yeah. So typically, when I say agentic search, it's something like either you have an agent chatbot aiding you in search, or you sort of type in natural language queries and you get results back, something like that. Typically, because these models don't have unlimited context, so you can't just load your, I don't know, all your 1 million documents in there or whatever. So, but you do what we've always done. We put it in databases and make it searchable. And in this case, we just gave the LLM a tool to be able to search in this system itself, basically. So that's it. So you've probably heard the term RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. And that's basically what it is. It's just give the thing here a tool to be able to search itself, and then you can sort of reason about it and do all kinds of things. But that's the basic gist of it. You just give it tools to search.
Interesting. Oh, okay, I get you. So, and this was the basis from the now expanding MCP protocol, I guess. Was it like
Yes,
the idea that started the other idea, I guess?
yeah, that MCP I think is a sort of for those who don't know, it's a model context protocol. So it's sort of a protocol that's standardized to be able to use tools, for example, across the web, and it has stuff like authentication and protocols and all that standardized and built in, so it can be used across different providers. That is one form of giving tools to agents, say. But there are many other ways of doing that. So one is, for example, if I fire up Claude Code in the terminal, and then I give it access to some command line utilities that I have, and that is a form of tool. It can use the bash tool to call those and then get its information that way. For example, if I give it access to the SQLite command line utility, and then now I can search my local SQLite database using the built-in full-text search, for example. And that works wonderfully as well. And it's great in many ways.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. So I wasn't very familiar with RAG to be frank, but the way that you explained it, now I can start to see that. Wow, this thing is probably a small piece that I was missing, because providing data was always intriguing to me. I mean, how do you provide all this data in a secret way?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just super interesting in that the way we search the web is changing. People are using ChatGPT, or Google are rolling out their own AI search. I don't know, I think it's google.com/AI or something like that. I haven't used it much myself. But so this whole thing is changing in a way that I don't think we've seen so much since Google initially rolled out in the 90s and really changed how we find information on the internet. So I think it's just because of that, it's so interesting to follow what's going on in this field.
Well, and for web search, I can personally testify that as a blind person, using an LLM is way more easier than having to jump into 3 or 4 websites that structurally are different and things like that. I mean, for me, this is a life changer, to be frank.
Oh yeah, I can really imagine, because it's text, and then you can get it read through the screen reader, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the format is mostly always the same, so that is a huge deal when you're using a screen reader. Format is always the problem.
Yeah. What about stuff like understanding images, because you can paste them in and then it can describe them, right?
I haven't really used that myself, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a huge image user, if I can say.
Yeah.
But because I already have an OCR built in the screen reader, so wherever I am, if there is an image with some text, I can OCR it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was already there. But I imagine that at some point the next generation of screen reader might be just crazy if we were able to have, and this might bring me to a follow-up question with that story. I imagine that if we were able to have some kind of model locally, that would help a lot of people, because personally, one thing that have been blocking me to use more LLM in my programming activities, if you will, is that the cost. This is kind of extreme to me, especially I don't see the value at this moment for me. But if the model ran locally, I could probably use that, because let me give you a real example. I wanted to build myself. It's interesting that you mentioned the images. That now I have a use case. I was a huge out of the park player. It's a baseball game. It's a baseball simulation. I have been playing that since 2000, I don't know, 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And since I'm using screen reader, I cannot play that game, obviously. So I wanted to build something for me that I would just be able to, let's say, take a screenshot of the game screen and ask some question. It's basically a glorified Excel sheet, if you will. So it's a baseball simulator, right? There's numbers everywhere and things like that.
Yeah.
But that, I cannot do that because the cost that it would involve for me to run that. But if it were local, I could do that, and I don't care if it's slow. I would not care if I could wait a couple of seconds. That is not a problem for me. But running local models required so much power. It's crazy. And I'm not talking about electricity. I'm just talking about CPU and memory at the moment.
Yeah, but there are local vision models, as they're called. Like, for example, Google Schema, which are frankly impressive. You can, I'm still baffled that you can download a 50 gigabyte file, and one thing, you can talk to it in text, but it also, you can paste images in, and it can actually reason about it or describe it or talk about it or whatever. And I think that's crazy. I bought a sort of a big MacBook laptop just to be able to run some of these models locally, because I think it's so fun to play with as well. So
yeah,
I should definitely check that out. And also all the Chinese labs like DeepSeek, I think it was DeepSeek OCR, which came out recently, which is supposedly very, very good at what it does. I haven't tried that one yet. So.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem. I have way too much old CPUs and computers here that I would need to invest. Okay,
you can try it out online, so through APIs, and then
I could try that.
Yeah,
I could try that. So have you dabbled a little bit? So we have talked a little bit about integration and whatnot. I think we will return to that, but I'm curious to hear you a little bit about what is your day-to-day programming task at the moment. Are you using any kind of LLM to do any task, and where are you with that?
Like, you mean for programming assistance or for building it into the applications?
Programming assistant. Let's start with that. So are you using I don't know, the new editors that are built in with LLMs and things like that? Are you using CLI? Are you using anything at all to help you generally?
Yes, I'm a very heavy Claude Code user. I don't write so much code as I used to anymore because it's written for me. So my role has very much shifted to one of, I don't know, project manager, project owner kind of thing. Obviously, I read a lot of code now. I code review everything, of course, because I still want it to be up to my professional standards. But it's very much so that I don't actually write that much code anymore. It does it for me. But I think the interesting thing I actually use it for is not the code generation part. It's more the everything else that goes before you write any code. So the feature brainstorming, for example. I have what's called a skill in Claude Code. So basically just a description of, you can do this, help me do that. So I have a skill called brainstorm, which is just exactly that. It helps me brainstorm a new feature and anything I haven't thought of. And I like that it's sort of an inversion of control, so that I tell it, help me brainstorm this, and then it just starts asking me a lot of questions, and I've asked it to do it like multiple choice. Ask me clarifying questions, let me select multiple choice, but I can always write more text if I need to, of course. And then it's sort of, we go through a design together, sort of, where it also asks me things I may not have thought of. And then in the end, you get sort of a summary of that, and then you can use that as a basis for implementation. And whether that's even there, if that's why you stop using it, I think that's super useful, especially for someone like me who's working a lot of, doing a lot of solo development. Yeah. So having this sort of, partner, or it's Rubber duck debugging on steroids, I think.
Yeah, I hear you a lot on that. To be frank, this is mostly how I have been using LLMs myself.
Yeah, and it works great.
It works great. I admit it. As a solo software engineer myself, this is very very nice.
Yeah.
What are skills exactly? Are they just some context file that you are setting up that, and how are you triggering that from the Cloud Code CLI, for instance?
So skills are basically markdown files which have a description of the skill you want to be able to use. It's a solution to a problem with MCPs, actually, that MCPs took up a lot of what's called the context window, so basically the short-term memory of the model. So if you loaded a couple of MCPs, say the one from GitHub and something to run some stuff in the browser or something, then suddenly half your context window is filled up with that, because MCP is very verbose in that regard. So the people at Anthropic came up with this skill system, which is like incredibly simple, but also very effective, and I think really, really fun. In that you just have a skills folder somewhere in your settings, and in that folder are subfolders. Each one is named after the skill, and then you have a sort of skill.md file. And in the beginning, it has a one-line description. What does this skill do? And those one-liners are all in the context all the time. So every time you fire up Cloud Code, you get those skills in the context, and then it knows, okay, I have those skills, and I know when to invoke them, either implicitly when I think it's a good time to do so, or explicitly when the user asks me to, basically. But the important thing is that the rest of the skills, so the whole meat of it, this skill description and any associated scripts and anything like that, is not always in the context window, but loaded on demand. And that's all there is to it, actually. And I like that it's just markdown files on my file system. So I can create those skills anytime I want. So now I have skills to, like I said, help me brainstorm. I have skills for using Git in the way that I like, nice, that fits to my workflow. I have, of course, a Go skill, which I've refined over several months, which is just, this is how I like to write Go. This is my style. This is how I like to test. This is my code formatting. This is how I structure applications. All that, it just goes into that. So every time I ask it, okay, help me write something for this feature in Go, then it evokes that Go skill, reads everything, and then proceeds from there, basically. And that just works so incredibly well, because it's essentially that the agent becomes composable, that you can use it for many tasks, and not necessarily just programming related, but anything. So I've tried. I also dabble in electronic music, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I use it for that as well? Can I make it my, I don't know, music manager or something like that? So I think it's very fun to just play around with what does this enable that I wasn't able to do previously.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That sounds great. So for now, only Anthropic has done this kind of.
Yeah, but you can sort of hack it into the other ones, and they take a lot of features from each other, because it's evolving so quickly. So I'm sure it'll come to the others in some form or another soon, because it is just very powerful, I think, in its simplicity, because everyone can write a skill if you can write text or transcribe or whatever. And then you can build these skills for yourself, and that's, it's just super, super useful.
Nice. So maybe I will tell you what I lived and what most people that are not using LLMs often maybe hit as a wall, and maybe you will be able to enlighten me on something. So
definitely.
I use OpenCode myself, which is similar to Cloud Code. Basically, it's just that you can plug other models and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's basically a CLI that that you can use to have it write some code. I don't really like to have anything on my editor myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we have all seen the demo aspect and whatnot. Generate me XYZ quickly and beautifully and blah blah blah. Small project. For me, the problem arises at some point when a small project was created, and now it start to break it. It start to do a lot of stuff that I don't want, and I don't even know how to. So my instinct was to close the session and restart, but it was not that. It was not just a problem of, well, the context is way too full here and now it's and this is pretty recent. I think last time I tried that was like in the summer or whatnot. Maybe it's already crazy long in this world. I would imagine maybe that might be something, but to me it felt like way more work than what it would have been if I were written all the line of codes. It would have been longer for me to do that, but the state that I were in at some point, due to probably a little bit of the LLMs. I'm not pointing finger here. I'm just saying that a lot of people seems to have this problem that at some point it might break a lot of things at once. And now, of course, you can go back if you have Git history and whatnot. But I don't know. This experience is very traumatizing in a sense.
Yeah. What did it break? Like the code or anything?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. It was and to be frank, it was probably a lack of review from myself. At some point, I opened the Go file and I was like, "Oh wow, what are we having here?"
What is this?
I suppose that the skills that you just described, if I were able to really precisely tell the LLM that I want this and I don't want that, and things like that, I believe that it would have helped. I was not knowing skills until I saw you post on Blue Sky the other day. So give you an example, but maybe that's it. Maybe we are not there yet, and I don't know if you have a lot of back and forth in your day to day. Are you often having to return back to a previous commit because now the last thing that the LLM did for you was completely, it was not only broken, but it was not respecting the directive at all.
Yeah. First of all, that still happens to me as well. So it's definitely not a perfect solution for anything. It's very much so that you have to get an intuition for what it's good at and what it's not good at, and how to frame your problems, and get an intuition about when you should go back in your conversation history and then nudge it in another direction or stuff like that. That is one part of it. So getting an intuition for that and steering it, I think I do a lot. And the other part is that, as you say, my Git history and my Git log is sacred. So basically what goes in there needs to be good enough. So I don't let it commit on its own. And whatever goes in there goes through a sort of a pull request cycle on GitHub first. So it goes through linting and testing. And actually I use that to review my own code as well. So because it's a different mental space that, okay, now I'm in the browser, I'm on GitHub, I'm reading a pull request, and I'm reading it the same way I would for any other developer, basically. That, okay, this needs to be changed. No, this can't be done that way. Stuff like so just that I get a second look at it from a different angle, maybe. And I think that's a very important part of being a software professional, because in the end I'm still on the hook for whatever I output, whether it's generated by an LLM or I wrote it manually. Then it's something I want to be responsible for, and something I want to be able to say, I did that with tools, but I made that, and I'm on the hook for the quality of that. So I think that's that's as important or even more important than it ever was.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, code review might have been a problem when I was probably letting it do way too much things without supervision and whatnot. So, would you say that you are way more productive these days? Because if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that it seems like you are 2, maybe 3 now, in a sense, and now you are doing code review yourself. Are you running concurrent tasks sometimes for your?
I'm experimenting with that, but I'm also very aware that this whole multitasking, I don't think the brain can really do that. So it's always, and I want to be aware that I don't context switch too much. So it really depends on what it is. So right now I'm doing like one central thing at a time, and I might have some, let's call it supporting tasks done in parallel. But I'm generally not doing many things in parallel because I can't keep it in my head. So in the end, I become the bottleneck for that, for producing stuff. And I think that's fine for now because I still want to be the one that's in charge because they are not good enough to be able to run the show themselves. Although all the marketers want us to believe that. I don't think that's true yet.
Yeah, that is something I have a lot of difficulties, with all the automating agents to build a company from scratch, and now there's no employee in there. I don't understand that, to be frank. Why it's so interesting for some people, but again, what task? Oh yeah, go ahead.
So but what it does enable me to do is things I couldn't do previously, like if I don't have enough knowledge to do something, let's say fancy in the front end. Something. I'm more of a back end person, but I want some feature in the front end. I don't know where to begin with that. Then I would instruct Claude, okay, please write me some JavaScript to do that particular feature. And I've done that previously. And that was just, okay, I wouldn't have been able to do this even if I'd spent a half a day to try and figure it out because there are so many new concepts I'd have to learn. And now suddenly I have a working implementation in 10 minutes. That I can try out. And because it's a UI thing, okay, I don't care as much about the architecture maybe of this particular feature as long as it seems to work. Of course, I scan through the code just to see if there are any glaring issues. But otherwise, okay, it works. I'll keep it. And that's sort of a low stakes thing, but still something that's very valuable to me that I wouldn't have been able to do before. And or stuff like debugging or chores like upgrading dependencies from libraries or stuff like that. I tend to offload that because it's just, okay, a new version of this is out, but I have some merge conflicts and some tests are failing. Please go fix that. And it'll just go in a loop until everything works because it can run tests itself. It can run the linter itself. It can upgrade things itself and all that. And that is a real time saver, I think. So I can focus on the interesting work instead.
Yeah, that's interesting. The fixing merge conflicts is pretty music to my ear, to be frank.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, you have to check that it actually does it correctly.
Oh, yeah.
But I've always also have had a lot of human coworkers through the years that have accidentally deleted some code in a merge commit. So it's not like it's...
That's the easiest way to fix a merge, man.
Yeah, exactly. Just delete all the stuff. Yeah, no changes. Excellent. Yeah, so stuff like that is a real time saver for me.
Yeah,
that it does that and takes care of the chores and enables me to do things I couldn't do before. And then maybe it speeds up some of my work some of the time, but other times it's also slows me down. So I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, I think it's a balance for sure. You have to see what works for you and what not. It's not that it's to be prevented. My only fear is that at some point we will lose a couple of problem solving aspect because now you are explaining the problem. It's true that you are explaining the problem. We are problem I don't know, explainer, if you will, instead of maybe continuing to be problem solver in a sense. That is concerning a little bit for me.
Yes, I think I agree, and I've had the same thoughts. But I'm also thinking that maybe this is just another layer in the abstraction. Because I don't know, I basically don't know how a compiler works. I don't know a lot of the stuff that goes on beneath the stack that I'm usually working with. So I know my way around distributed systems. I know how applications generally work. I know how the web works. But anything below that, like how does, I don't know, how does the source code get translated to something the machine can run? I have a rough idea. Yeah. I can go figure it out if I want to. But day to day, I don't really know. So there are certain class of problems I just won't be able to debug effectively. And I think of this kind of the same way, that I'm worried I lose some of these skills, but I also gain something in that I can do many more things that I could previously, because my breadth is bigger now.
Yeah.
And I can go deep if I want to, also with the aid of LLMs, of course. And most of the time, I think that's a win, at least for now. But I guess we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, totally. No, it seems to be there to stay for sure. I'm,
Yeah, I don't think we're going back.
Yeah, I think we have way past that. It's just I would still prefer to have the hype a little bit dimmed down, to be frank. You know, when I'm hearing things like I don't know if it's Facebook or whatever the company that says, I think it was Anthropic at some point that says the CEO says there won't be any software engineer in 6 months and one thing. And please don't say that. This is yeah.
I don't know. I've been through enough hype cycles now that, I kind of get sick of it, but also I can just ignore it. So.
Yeah, but my problem at this moment is that now the C-level and managers are hearing that, and the expectation is kind of crazy now.
Yeah.
You know, people just say, you use the LLM. It will, I don't, that part I don't like.
Definitely. I totally agree on that. And it reminds me very much of when everyone wanted an app because the iPhone was out. And then, what do you need an app for? I don't know. We need an app. It's like more like a business card or something like that, right? And I think that's very much the same now. And I think we'll see that for some years to come. But there will be pushback. The craze will die down. The hype cycle will move to something else as well. And then what we'll be left with, I think, is something that's genuinely useful for a lot of people, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Oh yeah, totally. My kids, I don't recall if I asked you that, but I don't know if you have kids. But my kids are 18 and 20. The older one does not really seems to want to use that for a lot of environmental consideration and things like that. I mean, this is true that there is some environmental issues with having to generate that much electricity just to reply to someone that wants to marry the LLM. You know, I don't know if you understand what I mean, but there is a lot. You know, it's not just software engineers that are using that thing now. It's planet wide, and the amount of energy that needs to be consumed is crazy. And now they are talking about building a nuclear plant just to supply, the AI, just to run the models and whatnot. This, I don't know. I have some concern there as well.
Yes. I think we should go into that with eyes wide open, and then, because I've been through the same things. I've come to the conclusion that using LLMs, like text LLMs for now, are fine. Using them to generate images is fine. I don't generally generate videos, for example, because, I don't know, 1 8-second video is 1 kilowatt hours of energy or something like that. But I think, what was it? I can't recall the number, so sorry if they're wrong. But something like if you have one prompt, it's something like 0.3 watt hours of energy, which is 10 times the amount of a Google search or something like that. But it's sort of compared to, I don't know, driving a car or heating a building. that is a very, very, very low amount. So at least that was my conclusion for at the time, that prompting and using it for work is comparable to using the internet generally, or as a whole. And it's not that much different than, I don't know, watching Netflix or doing Google searches or something like using recommendation engines, which is also AI, for when shopping online or whatever. Like those recommender engines, that's a lot of energy as well, but people don't really talk about that. So I think it's
you've got a good point for sure. I'm just I'm just a little bit how it is. We do things as humans, and we don't really care about what it will really do in 20, 50 years from now and things like that. I mean, this is there's all the mental aspect of there's a lot of people that, I don't know, just talk to the thing, and outside of work. I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about personal stuff. I think that some people will lose themselves in that thing. That is, I don't know. The Steve Wozniak was kind of wanting to wait a little bit. I'm a little bit on his side. Can we wait? Can we just see what it will really do to some people?
You're not talking about energy then, are you? Or what?
Well, no, not now, not anymore, because it's I'm talking about mental illness.
Right, okay.
Some people might lose themselves in that thing, and we have seen that already. There's stories out there. It's a little bit concerning. I like the tool. I like the idea. So it's like you were saying. It's just a matter of finding what task it really solve for you the best, and I think that once you start that to find those, you can start enjoying having some productivity. Have you tried other things than cloud code already?
Yeah, I'm trying many different things. So Gemini has a terminal app as well, of course. I haven't used that as much. I've used Codex from OpenAI. Tried that as well. I think it's really good for code review. It does that really well, but it's very slow. So the iteration speed goes down a lot. And I like my tools fast now. Basically, also like the Go tool chain is just so nice that everything compiles very fast, and the feedback cycle is very fast. And with Codex, that went out the window. Yeah. So even though I think it's a very good model, I couldn't live with that, so I stopped using it for that. And I haven't really cracked the whole doing it offline thing. So you go do your thing, and then I'll wait, and you'll send me a pull request kind of thing. That workflow, I haven't really gotten that working for me.
Yeah, like the new, I think GitHub Copilot is like that. You can now assign some pull requests to Copilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And Google has something called Jules, which is essentially the same, and Anthropic have their Claude Code on the web, which is also the same, and I think OpenAI have, and it's also just called Codex, I think, which is also the same. And I think for certain use cases, they are very usable, that you can kind of fire off a task and forget about it, and then at some point you'll get, I don't know, an email saying, here are the results. I think for certain use cases, that's very good, but it doesn't fit into my development cycle, because I like to be very iterative and figure things out along the way and learn along the way. That's how I like to approach that. And it doesn't work with that.
Yeah, I was seeing the GitHub assigning a pull request to an LLM for maybe fixing some bugs that are extremely clear and things like that, because now you can describe the problem in the GitHub issues, which is already what what most teams are doing these days and things like that. So assigning the issues to someone or an LLM, if it's going to do the right job, is kind of a good idea. I think they nailed something, because now you don't distract our most software engineering teams are already working. So that, that might be something, especially for very, very simple task, either bug or very small feature and things like that.
Yeah, all those chores of that we talked about previously. Yeah, I think
like you were saying, the dependencies update and whatnot. So the GitHub already have something that checks your dependencies for project. So now those could be done almost automatically with an LLM and whatnot. So on the background. So not only that. So so a lot of things that seems to be improving the software engineering, day-to-day task and whatnot. This is clear, and nobody is really saying the contrary. But yes, it's not completely there, and I'm wonder if we have reached some I don't know, some plateau at some point at the moment. Have you found that?
I think
I use Gemini as my day-to-day models, and I don't know, something happened in the last month.
I think it's maturing a lot, so that we don't have these huge steps forward where now I can do this. But stuff like the skills system, where that's very much more of a developer experience kind of thing, and maturing the ecosystem so things generally work across tools, and standardizing stuff and figuring out common libraries, for example, how to build them into your Go applications and all that. And I saw Charm release something the other day about, okay, this is how you can build agents our way by giving it tools, and this is our agentic framework and stuff like that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that, because the speed has been absolutely reckless. It's just that it was so hard keeping up that it was overwhelming, and all these new concepts. At least I felt that way. And now it's sort of, I don't think it's slowed down. I understand a lot more of it. And there are still these steps forward, but they're not as big as before, and they're just in other dimensions as well, compared to just pure raw model performance.
So would you say that we are entering an era, maybe, that now it will be more tools that we will see coming up, and a lot, it will be less about the model itself, but really how to properly plug that into normal day-to-day operation?
Yeah, I think so. And it's been happening a lot this year already, but with the whole, people called it the year of the agents. And I think that's turned pretty true, in that we have been thinking a lot about how these agents work, and how can they work for us, and how do we give them tools in the form of MCPs or Cloud Skills or whatever you want to call it. And then, now we're kind of figuring out patterns, just like we figured out software patterns a long time ago for how do we do these things generally. And I think that's a very welcome thing to do, and also be a part of, because it's going, you can have a lot of impact by figuring out some of this stuff, and perhaps generalizing it and making it easy to use. So developers who don't read every update there is about LLMs, even if that were possible, they can create applications that build on this stuff and create something of value that is useful to a lot of people, instead of just tacking it on and calling it AI. So I really welcome that. I don't know what to call it, maturity. Yeah, I was speaking with a friend the other day that works at Walmart, basically, and they started to build a lot of internal agent, but not for developers, not for software engineer, but for all sorts of role in the company to help them, achieve those small things that usually would have required a technical person doing some queries in a database, for example. Or exactly.
But for sales or whatever the department. So that is because now those people can talk, like you were saying, with normal language. I don't know to call that natural language.
Natural language.
And now they get their data instead of creating an issue that will be there for like months because nobody have time to do that. So I think this for an enterprise mindset is probably extremely interesting.
Yeah, not just enterprise. I mean, small businesses everywhere. That it's just very empowering for a lot of people to be able to do things they couldn't do previously. And we just need to make sure that it's safe to use and that it does the right thing most of the time.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And there's a lot of work to do there. And then the whole adapting to that as a society, that's a whole nother... That's going to take a long time, I think.
Yeah, what can go wrong if you give your LLM the access to your database? I mean...
Yeah, absolutely nothing.
So would you, how would you propose that someone starts if they haven't started yet, or what is Cloud Code, the CLI, a good way to start, or you would recommend someone that did not started yet to use via Visual Studio Code, Copilot, or what is called Cursor and things like that, the other two?
Yeah. I think I would try out Cloud Code just because I think it has the best developer experience of the agent tools out there. I don't and then dabble with that. Try writing some skills, create a Go skill, and then write. This is how I prefer to write code, and then see whether you actually get better results from that than just using pure raw Cloud Code. I have by the way, I have my skills repo online. It's on GitHub, so we can link to that. Nice. So you can just go read the skills and take inspiration from that. And I didn't make up the brainstorming skills myself. For example, I just took that from an online blogger called Jesse who really experiments a lot with all that. Nice. So you can share these easily because it's just markdown files, and go take it from there. Install Cloud Code, try it out raw, then try it with some skills, and then see where you can take it from there. I think that's how I would do it. Yeah. Okay. We will have all of that. I will personally have a look at your repo to be sure. To be frank, like I was saying, I'm personally using open code sometimes. So but. Are you not looking at the I know that there is this money, how much money it's currently costing. Are you not looking at that and saying, wow, man, this thing is increasing quickly? You mean for my Cloud Code usage? Yeah. I think that there's some indicator in those things that each time you press enter and each time the LLM is replying, this thing is increasing. It's crazy. Like, geez, this question cost me like $1. Yeah, but actually I turned it around a bit. That so I have a Cloud Code. They have this max subscription where basically you have a fixed fee and then you have rate limits, but I rarely hit them. So that you basically have an upfront cost, and I don't know, the max plan, I think if that saves me something like, I don't know, half an hour every month, then that's worth it. Just based on because I do consulting as well, right? So it's a lot of money, and especially if you're from a different country with a different purchasing power, then that is a different thing. But I live in Denmark, in Europe, where the cost is kind of comparable to the US, and there it makes sense for me to use that if it saves me some time at all. So that's not something I worry too much about anymore. Yeah. Again, another sad truth that less the purchasing power parity between countries kind of limit them. If I don't know this, but that's why I was talking about the locally. As soon as we will start to have some local models in our home, it might be
a good way maybe, but again, you need to buy the hardware, and now the electricity is on you. But still, I think maybe it was Nvidia that was working on an hardware or something like that. A small box that have a lot of GPUs in there that you could deploy some models. That to me, this is very interesting to me, because my wife is also using a lot of. She's using how is it called? A Google notebook, something like that.
A notebook LLM, maybe?
Yeah, notebook LLM, something like that. So because she is at a university and whatnot, and this is crazy. I mean, but the point is, what I was going with that, if it were local, the amount of things that we could do, to be frank, without having to use the cloud one. I don't know. It seems to be, to me, maybe it's because we are in Quebec and the electricity is kind of cheap here, because we are hydroelectricity and whatnot, reusable and kind of green-ish electricity. But I don't know. To me, it seems to be interesting to have local models for security as well.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, and for some use cases, it definitely makes sense, like for privacy use cases and compliance reasons and stuff like that in professional settings. I'm totally with you. I think it's super useful to have these on device, and I definitely think we'll see that, because the models themselves are also getting more efficient. So you can have models that run on your phone that you can talk English to.
Yeah,
and I think that run purely on your phone, and I think that's super incredible. Also speaks to how incredibly good phones have become, of course. But that's also that even smaller models can be useful for certain things. That said, you don't get the operational efficiency from running these models at scale, and you don't have Google's TPUs running your models. And all that. And they can, I'm sure they are hard at work on pressing every last bit of juice out of these chips so they work optimally and actually where you get the most usage out of your energy. I cannot imagine that they are not working on that.
Oh yeah.
And just that hardware is just so powerful now, and I mean, I'm sitting in front of an incredibly overpowered laptop for what I'm doing day to day, except running LLMs on it locally. I think that's amazing. So,
are you able to run the models on your GPU on your MacBook laptop?
Yes, because Apple has this unified architecture where they share the memory between the GPU and the CPU. So they run really, really well on your Macs, which is why I got one.
Interesting.
So basically, I have 128 gigs of RAM, and then I can run for example, the open source or open weights, what's it called? The one that OpenAI came out with. I forget its name now. I think it was just 120B model open. Was it chat? I forgot the name now. But that one.
Okay.
So running that locally and seeing that work, or just the Gamma models from Google, like I mentioned earlier, looking at images locally for me, and I think that's something. That's
nice.
It's crazy. Nice. It's possible. It's like having brains stored on your hard drive, I think.
Yeah, sure. You were not an Apple or Mac user before that?
Oh yeah, I was.
Okay.
But now I'm even more so, I guess.
128 gig of RAM. This is crazy.
I guess outside of Mac world, that's just of course you can have that, and inside Apple world, is
totally. Yeah,
that's what they charge for.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, all right, Marcus. That was very interesting. To be frank, I think I will go try the skills and cloud code myself.
Yeah, you should. I'll send you some links.
Yeah, totally. We will have all the links on the show notes as well. So again, thank you so much, and maybe we can do a some episode in six months. I guess that things will be extremely different.
Tell me about why you moved away from components again back to HTML. I'd be interested in that.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay.
Just one long feedback session.
Yeah, sure. That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye.